Talk radio. See, that's why I need her. That's why I need Jimmy too. But he's not here. But he's probably watching because that's what I'll get to Larry Smith. Thanks, Larry
Thank you.
Smith. Uh, so let's start the show. Talk radio. Talk radio. That's right, not Jimmy. But he's not here. And have a whole lot of fun. All right, all right, all right. I have to laugh because I need to be reminded. Because we have so much going on here, Larry.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on. I wanted to. We were talking about credit reporting agencies and really what they're into before we were joined here, uh, because it's really about information.
Yeah.
I want to also tell people something else that we're doing. I'm doing more property tax appeals. So I want people to know that because it's coming up the southern side of the way. I don't know. Do you ever do any tax?
I have
Did your
never
own?
done them as a lawyer, but I've actually
Done your own?
I've had no I have a friend of mine who's an attorney that she's done some of those, and she came and said I think I could lower them, and I said go for it, and I let her have it. I let her have it for like a couple of years, and for a couple of years she was able to a couple of them she was able to lower.
Well, good. I
Yeah.
think I'm associated with David Hochberg, as you know.
Sure.
WGN. I am now the property tax guy on WGN
All right.
on his show. So I'll be talking a lot about property taxes, and you and I will talk about too, not about your own property.
It's okay.
But we'll talk about it. But we were talking about and that's what we're going to talk about on the show today, right? We're going to talk about what you do. So tell people what you do.
So my firm focuses on in a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and the Fair Credit Reporting Act, even though it's called Credit Reporting Act, covers all kinds of reports, not just credit reports, background reports, landlord-tenant leasing reports. There's insurance reports. I mean, anything that really talk comments about our not just our credit, but our characteristics, our mode of living, our way of life, things like that. That's all included. And the big two issues when it comes to data is accuracy and privacy. And so that's what my firm does is we handle cases that focus on the accuracy of your credit report or background reports and the privacy that you are entitled to in them.
So I was thinking about you this week because I had a guy come into my office and he talked about the data protection for car dealerships and how car dealers are probably next to mortgage brokers have the most information from it. What do you think about that?
That makes a lot of sense. Car dealers are overwhelming majority of car sales are not cash deals, they're finance deals. In fact, that's really how car dealerships make a lot more of their money is through the finance department. So that's what they do. I mean, when you come in and you want to make monthly payments, you're not going to just pay for this thing, and not a lot of people bring their own financing in.
It's true.
And even if you do,
I know.
they're going to come
They
and
want
say,
to sell you
we
product.
could do better than that. We could do better. So they're involved in the credit business because they're trying to get you financed. And now what they have is a thing called Dealer Track. And that is what that is. It's like a system. I don't know it that well. I'm not that into it, but I've seen it because of some litigation I've been involved in. What they do is they basically, when you come in, they put your information into Dealer Track, and it kind of just immediately fires you out to a group of
This is what we were talking about.
yeah,
He
a
was
group
talking about this.
a group of lenders who are immediately accessing your credit report and immediately making a decision. Boom, 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 and they're allowed to pick.
This is what he was talking about, and he
Yeah.
was also talking about sometimes how haphazard they are, not the most secure. Credit reports laying on tables, things
Yeah,
like
there's that. I mean, that stuff, and it's getting outdated because so much more is score driven and computer driven, and it's like tap 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 and boom, oh, you're in, you're out. So
Uh-huh.
there's
So you
not
don't have a report really.
there's not a lot of the printing the report out, but are they securing their computers? Are they spending that kind of money that you should be spending on securing your computers and data that you are getting on people? Are they securing that stuff? And Are you being conscientious? A lot of people, we talk about privacy, and a lot of people are, listen, I'm here looking at cars. I'm just going to look. I'm just going to touch. I have not made a decision to buy. Don't look at my credit. I'm not doing that yet.
But they
Please
will
don't
ask you
look at
for
me.
a-
I'm
for-
just looking at cars. And, some just really just over, and it just, overindulgent, finance guy or salesperson who just really thinks that they're going to get a deal done and talk this person into it goes and let's take a quick look. I can give them a good deal, and they run and they put them in dealer track, and all of a sudden, boom! You find out you got 6 inquiries in your credit report. They all count as 1 towards your score, but you don't like seeing that all these people looked at your credit.
I don't. Yes.
Can I jump in here?
Sure.
I just got a text on the text line from Jim Leahy.
Sam, we're not getting sound.
Saying, can you adjust the sound, please?
How? I just hit.
Sound is not engaged through the Mevo app.
I just saw. Oh.
On the standard, so my
Whatever.
speed-
I
That's
believe-
from Jim.
Okay.
He told me that
Thank you,
there.
Jim.
That's what I was.
Hey, I sound even a little louder to myself. Look at that.
Okay, that should be working.
So, anyways,
Now?
do I have to start all over?
No, no. The answer.
Because I
is-
can't.
The answer is yes. Well, here's the thing about it. Yeah, you can because you live this stuff.
Yeah, I do live it. I do. So,
And this is so
Yeah.
much great information that nobody thinks. And I was just talking to Pat about it, about when we have guests, how much I learn from people. And whether it's a floor guy or a chimney guy or an attorney like yourself.
yeah.
Uh-oh. What was that?
A little feedback.
Okay.
Just
You-
keep talking. I'm just
Let me tell you.
adjusting.
Let me tell you something, Jimmy, who's listening. I have to turn on the. I have to hit the switch to on. Okay, that was my problem.
Yeah.
It is showing here on my iPad, but you still have to turn it on. Okay, I thought I had it all covered.
The more you know.
Now, from now on, Jimmy, you have to stay home so you can tell me when it's working or not.
What's wrong with Jim?
He has the coronavirus.
I was going to say.
Ay.
I was going to say.
No,
That's what
but
I said to my daughter.
he does have the
She
flu.
got up this morning and she didn't feel well. I'm like, yeah, you just want to stay home. She's a senior. She's got senioritis. And I'm like, come on. And I get the thermometer and, it's 99. I go, oh, 99, you got the corona. You're done.
Keep you out of the crowd.
got the corona.
We want to protect the crowd.
I'm
from
not
you.
going to participate in this over
I agree.
emphasizing this. A lot of people get extremely sick just due to the regular flu.
I agree.
So let's not, over exaggerate
100%.
coronavirus, spread fear. I don't want people to worry.
I agree with that, and I also think I have to. I see a lot of people. I listen to Rush Limbaugh most days, and I've been watching what people their reaction to what he says, or even what the president says. Right, the president says, this will go away. And and he's right in the sense that this happened. Right, we have a cold and flu season. Why is that? Because the virus dies when it gets warmer out. And it doesn't spread as much.
I mean, look, I don't know the first thing about them.
Well, that's-
so maybe they do. Is that what it is?
Well,
they
why is
spreading
there,
the cold?
There is a cold and flu season, isn't there? Every year there's a cold and flu season.
You could get a
And-
cold. You could get a cold in the summer.
Yeah, but you can, but it's not. It's not. It's this.
Yeah, the
it
flu
doesn't go
seems to
around.
come. The flu seems to come when it
That's
starts
why we
getting
have.
cold out.
That's why
for
we
some
have.
reason.
You have to get the flu vaccine at a
What
certain
about
time.
people in Arizona who get the flu?
Right.
But they still might catch it from people. I get it. But there is a season for it. Is my point.
People travel somewhere cold and,
And
then
they
they
get-
bring it back
That's
to the
right.
warm
Do
place.
they get the flu in Arizona?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
know what?
Maybe I'll do
maybe
research
we're,
and
maybe
move
we're
there.
assuming something.
That's not true.
Maybe do
We-
they get the flu in Arizona?
I don't know. I
Or
don't.
Florida.
Know. So that's a very.
You know
good
what
question.
they get in Arizona? They get the spring training.
That's true.
They
And
do.
everybody, I know so many people that are down there right now enjoying themselves. And you ever been to spring training?
No, I've never been to spring training.
It is the most. When I went down, it was 10 times more than I thought it was.
I would
Because
love
they're
it. I
so.
just,
If
get
you're a
off my
baseball
butt
fan,
and go.
if you're a baseball
I
fan,
am.
then there's just baseball.
I mean, I love
morning,
it.
noon, and night. It
Yeah.
was just great. I just thought it was the greatest.
What do you like about it, though? Really, because those games don't matter, right? In the
It's not a-
in the grand scheme of things.
It's not about mattering, I'm a Cub fan, so I've been to many games that don't matter.
So exactly. So, but here's the thing: I'm a 3-sport guy, And I'm a Chicago sports guy, and I'm all three. More four. I like hockey too, but I love.
I thought that was one of the three.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love basketball. I'm a big basketball fan. I love hoops. And so you got your football season, and when that's over, you turn yourself to basketball, and that's over, you turn yourself to baseball. The thing about spring training, and why I don't really go and get up for it, is because I'm usually not ready for it. I'm like, hey, we only kind of just finished that, and we're still got some great basketball ahead of us. I'm not ready to think baseball.
I agree.
Problem
you got
is
the college basketball, March Madness coming.
Yeah. I love the Bulls too, and I love watching the Bulls, and I love watching the Hawks, and I'm always following them.
Be honest.
Problem we've had. I'm not a fair weather. I watch the bad ones.
Okay, so I do too, but it is hard.
So now the problem that we've had in Chicago the last couple of years, for those of us who love our Bulls and Hawks, is that it's been so painful that you get to March and you're like, is baseball coming soon?
I haven't watched that many of the Bulls games recently, but the best thing that I've seen about the Bulls is, doesn't Stacey King do the broadcasting?
He's the color commentator.
He's awesome.
I do
He's the
agree.
best thing about the Bulls now.
He is a fantastic color. I really enjoy him. His phrases, his words. He's
his
enjoyable.
Nicknames.
Yeah, his nicknames, and he knows the game very well, and he's catching all their mistakes every time. And he points them out, and it's great. It's painful to watch. I mean, they keep getting close and then blowing it, and
they play the first half really well. It's the second half that
they usually come out in the third stinking. But then sometimes they'll come out in the third and they'll play an amazing third, and they'll have this thing and they'll have it in their hands. And look, if they got the ball for a last second shot, forget it. It's over. They're not winning. It's just they don't close. They just don't close.
That's why winning teams win.
Were they wrong to get rid of Jimmy Butler?
Yes.
It depends. It depends on what your philosophy was.
Where is he playing now?
Were
Who's he playing for now?
The Bulls wanted to rebuild, which means you
Jimmy
can't
Butler's
have Jimmy
probably
Butler.
been to three different teams since.
He's on Miami.
Oh my goodness.
He's on Miami, and he's having a wonderful season with them. And they're having a good season.
Oh.
He wants to play for a winner, and he's there to win. He's not a rebuilder, and the Bulls are in a rebuild.
He was a guy that they could have built a team around.
Right.
And they never did.
Right.
Okay. So at least I got somebody out there. Jimmy's telling me it's echoing, and then I thought I made some adjustments, and he says it's not echoing any longer.
Well, good job.
So again, maybe we need you to stay home more often.
Before we're done,
the man out in the field.
Before we're done today, we will have a clear broadcast to
the last 2 minutes.
At some point before we're done.
No, I know. I get lost in the minutia of the Mevo. But let's move along. We'll start the show, and then we'll do it without Jim. No Jim.
Be careful, because he is listening.
I know he's listening. Hey, Jim. Feel good. Hey, bud.
Feel good. No Corona.
Welcome to the Trust Radio Network. Join your host, attorney Stephen A. Leahy, every Saturday night at 8, right here on AM 560, as he engages in conversation with some of the most trusted professionals in all of Chicagoland. Enjoy interviews with local professionals dedicated to providing the very best products and services. Learn who they are, what they do, and most importantly, why they do it. Take a step inside the minds of some of Chicagoland's most successful business leaders and learn all there is to know every Saturday night at 8 on the Trust Radio Network. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Welcome to the Trust Radio Network. I am your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. No Jim Leahy today to bring us in on this show. But I'm here with our technical producer is Deborah Schreiner, and we're here with our trusted professionals, people that you can trust when you're making important decisions. That's what we introduce you to every week here at the Trust Radio Network. Now, remember, though, this show right here is sponsored by the Law Office of Stephen A. Leahy and Opem Tax Advocates. We help business professionals solve IRS problems. We help them with liens and levies, garnishments, collections, unfiled tax returns, and payroll tax issues. But we also help with mortgage foreclosures, loan modifications, bankruptcy, and property tax issues. See, I threw that in there because, being the tax guy, everybody says, you're the tax guy. So I get a lot of calls about property taxes. And so we started helping people with property taxes. It's in my wheelhouse. It's taxes. That's what we do. We help people with taxes. That's what we do. So today we're going to have a very good discussion with our guest today is Larry Smith, attorney Larry Smith. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. Thanks so much for joining us, Larry.
Glad to be here.
I always have to stop myself because before the show I start talking to you about things, and I'm like, oh, I want to get that on the show, so I don't want to talk too much before. Yeah. So I have to hurry up. Let's start the show so I can get this good stuff in. I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a master's degree in information technology law. Did you know that?
I did not.
Okay.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Well, there is.
Okay.
and so data, data is very, I'm very interested in it.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in how that works and how you control it and, privacy issues, all this kind of stuff. And that's really what you do, isn't it?
That's exactly what we work in under a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Well, let me interrupt you about that because when was that law enacted?
Oh, goodness, the last iteration, I think I want to say it was 99 was the last amendment to it.
This is why I wanted to mention that because it's like it's kind of.
Wait, it was 99, and then there was FACTA, which was Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act, and which was kind of embedded in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and that was like 03 or something like that they kind of enacted a whole new set of laws, call it FACTA, but made it part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
And this is, I love all this stuff because the government, it takes them so long to get involved in anything. How much has changed in the data industry since 2003? I mean,
how they collect and how they report and that stuff has not, I don't think has changed a great deal. And how they manage the data, I don't think it's changed a great deal. The kind of stuff they do with it has, I think, really grown. What they can do with the information they have, it's no longer just credit reports and lists for promotional,
you can store
mailings.
So much more information now than you could then.
All different kinds of things, and I mean it just goes beyond credit now. I mean, now insurance companies can, they have databases regarding claims, and there's reporting of that, and there's landlords and tenants, and the reporting of whether or not that tenant left early or didn't leave early or was evicted or wasn't evicted, regardless of what the public record says. Just all kinds of stuff, and you can go to a credit bureau and become a customer of theirs, and you can purchase any one of like 120 products regarding personal data, not other stuff. I mean, you take consumer data, and there's 120 something different things that you could buy or something like that.
I think in 2003 and back then, reporting agencies, they were there, but they were kind of in the background. Now they're selling consumers' products.
They're selling data. It's a product. But consumer data is a product.
But again, I think
very valuable information.
Yeah, not too long ago, people kind of heard of them, but they weren't really enacting with the consumer. They were talking to businesses.
Right, and now you can't open your mail every week without getting something from a credit card company that says 0% for 1 year. Now you get that thing. Okay, and you look at the post date of that, and you pull your credit report, and you look under a section called promotional inquiries, and you will find that company's name as a promotional inquiry on your report that very day.
I did not know that.
And it's not because that company actually got your report or your information. You were part of a list. They sell lists, not just data, but lists of people for that very purpose. Capital One could go to TransUnion and say, give me every person in these 5 area codes that have not had a bankruptcy in the last 5 years and have a score within your model of over 650. And each and every one of those people are going to get by law must now, get a bona fide offer of credit. You can't just say, I'll take it, and then I'm just going to discard it. The law actually says if you're going to buy the list, you've got to actually offer those people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Firm offer of credit.
That's amazing. Now, it doesn't surprise me, but I know something that I never thought of, and so I'm sure our listeners never thought of.
So, your data's being used, and you need to need to worry about keeping it private, not just from identity theft, but just to protect yourself from the overwhelming number of people that are coming after you, soliciting to give you credit. Just come on, take some credit.
Maybe you know this and maybe you don't. So I'm going to ask you: if I have a freeze on my account, am I still in that list? Do you think?
You mean like you're being garnished?
No, if I have a freeze, like on the, because they have these freezes on the Credit Reporting Act. If I call and say freeze my account.
No, so freezing you is going to freeze them from selling a report about you. So in other words, if somebody goes out and tries to apply credit in your name, or you go to try to apply for credit, they're going to try to do it, and they're going to go, hey, listen, we can't get your report; it's locked. That's different.
Okay, so
you can still show up on a list.
Yeah, okay, that's what.
Sure.
So that doesn't stop you. That's why I just wanted to, because I've heard of this lock, and a lot of people.
I think there's now and I'm not 100% sure on this. They've recently included something where you can now get off of a list. You can now put in something into them that says, "Take me off of
I'm laughing
promotional
lists."
lists."
I'm thinking this is another product they could sell you, right? for
no,
$10.
that's something that's thankfully Congress is reasonable and makes them do things like that for free.
For free.
Thankfully,
They don't like to do anything for free.
No, they don't, and it's great that they have to investigate for free, because that would cost us all a ton too.
Again, it's amazing the information that's out there and what the products are when you because people think, well, it's just information. But I mean, obviously, Facebook and these companies now that's what they are, is information companies.
Yeah, but they're not consumer reporting agencies.
Yeah, I understand, but they still are gathering information about you and selling it to advertisers. As what you were just talking about, they sell those promotional to advertisers.
Again, I'm not involved in it, nor do I know it, nor do I know the lawyers doing it. Just I've seen discussion of, and I don't know if there's a pending case.
There was
or
enough.
not. People trying.
I think you included enough disclosures there, so I had nothing to do with that. I don't know. That's not me. I don't know.
Did I put up a big wall of liability up here? I think I've heard of
you
people
speak like a lawyer sometimes.
Don't I? 27 years, it's just stuck. It's like it's in you.
It's part of what it is.
You can't even pull it off. It's stuck on you. It's like a tick.
That's funny.
But I've heard of the claim that, is Facebook or one of those social media companies could be considered a consumer reporting agency because they actually sell information regarding your characteristics to people who are considering an application of yours or something like that. I've heard of it, and it's not outside the realm of possibility.
I could see the argument.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I'm gonna sit and look at the statute and analyze the words and all that stuff, and I haven't done that with it, so I'm not going to.
But I could see how someone could make that argument.
Yeah, we're still there's so much out there when it comes to the main bureaus and the background reporting, the big background reporting companies. Now we're seeing there's a half a dozen or so background reporting companies that are the most popular. And with all of them, there's enough low-hanging fruit for us to go after and help people that I don't need to dig in and try to convince a court that LinkedIn is a credit reporting or is a consumer reporting agency. I don't need to do that. I'm not going to be the one. I'm sorry. At least not right now.
Although if you could, right, that would open the floodgates.
Don't quite have the time. Look, in a year I become an empty nester. Maybe I'll have nothing but time. But right now it's not. It's not in the cards.
Well, I agree. Tell people where they can find you.
You could find us at www.protectingconsumerrights.com or smithmarco.com. That's our firm, Smith Marco PC. And we're at 888-822-1777.
Now, remember, this show is sponsored by the Law Office of Stephen Leahy and Opem Tax Advocates. So if you're having some tax issues, even property tax issues, IRS issues, I'm helping a lot of people with state tax issues too. So you should give us a call at 312-664-6649. Again, that number's 312-664-6649. Listen to our advertisers and come right back at the end of this. We'll see you on the other side. That's where Mr. Cazilli.
I give that a
7 out of 10.
The only thing you need to do is come right back on AM
560.
560. The answer.
I missed it. You're right. That's my
Jim,
favorite.
did you hear that? Good coaching.
That's my favorite part of it. I had that's interesting stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the bankruptcy that you were just talking about because I think that's an interesting.
The increase, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So It's unreal. I see that we see this a lot, and I really love to talk to my bankruptcy lawyer brethren out there. Do the smart thing for your client, and get the authority to and check their credit 6, 8 months, 9 months, a year after their discharge, and look at. Obviously, to look for those things that they're supposed to update the trade lines and not continue to report delinquencies and remove the balances. That's the first thing you're looking for. That's the fresh start. But, the right to look at someone's credit is, that's our privacy right there, And so the law limits the times and reasons when somebody or some company can look at our credit. It's just they don't have carte blanche to look at us whenever we want. We're not beholden to that, folks. Okay, it's not a thing where well, big data's got us and our information's out there and we're stuck. No, as a matter of fact, you do have limits to it, and people aren't allowed to look at your credit report or your background reports unless they specifically are given the authorization. You apply for something, obviously. You have an account with someone, obviously. Okay, but when that ends.
Now, I help people with bankruptcies. I don't do a ton of them because generally the bankruptcies I help people with are associated with taxes, so they get complicated.
Yeah.
But I can see trying to have some sort of ongoing relationship with my clients to do what you just said. Also, maybe work with someone like Gary Novell to help rebuild your credit after the fact.
Right, but the most important thing is looking at making sure you just discharged all these debts. That should be in the rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So what these companies do is after the discharge, you don't owe anything, you're done, you don't have any relationship with them anymore. They're still taking peeks at you.
And why that's right. They don't have a right. They shouldn't have a right to do that.
And they shouldn't. And so we went and took some depositions to ask what it was they were getting. And what they're getting is propensity to pay reports.
What are they trying to see if they want to give you credit again?
Yeah. I mean, my sinister consumer right mind says maybe what they're thinking about is, hey, if they look like they're in a position to start paying things back, maybe we offer them some credit and get them paying us money again. Give them a high rate. Try to do something to get them to give us some of the money we lost back. Kind of thing. I don't know. Or they're just mistaken and they really didn't mean to do it and they did it because they're fools and they didn't turn the button off that says, check this person's credit every other month.
Yeah, don't check that guy.
I don't know. But whatever it is, they're doing it and somebody's getting information about them. And the thing is you don't know who's getting what and who's looking at what. You don't know what their purpose is and you don't know why. So you're kind of, as a consumer, you're left to sit and go. And it's not a nothing inquiry. It actually, despite what some court cases have said, they're not nothings. They're they're not full consumer reports, full credit reports, but they're close. It's private. It's private stuff that they're getting.
I'm amazed sometimes at about the different courts how they come across. So I get a call. Well, let's go on the record, as we say, on the record.
On the record.
And now, back to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560. The Answer. Real conversations with some of the most trusted professionals in Chicagoland. Once again, here's attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Welcome back. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560. The Answer. It doesn't sound good without Jimmy there. But also, we're here with our trusted technical producer is Deborah Schreiner. Our guest this week is Larry Smith of Smith Marco, who helps people with credit reporting issues and other issues. Because again, I think that's amazing what's involved in the credit reporting. That it's much more than just credit reporting.
How about background reporting?
Talk a little bit about that, because people don't understand. You said the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
The word credit is a misnomer. It should be consumer report, because that's really what's in the statute is the definition, is a consumer report. And so that includes anything regarding your character, your history, your background. So background reports, when you go for a job and they're going to do a background check on you, that is governed by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And those companies that prepare those reports are consumer reporting agencies that must comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. We see a lot of issues with them. a lot of
And of course, everything rides on that, whether you're going to get the job or not.
Oh yeah, and the worst of it is two things we see the most of. Number one, mixed files. I'm not sure what it is they're doing. They're basically taking the applicant's first name, last name, and date of birth. That's it, and putting that in a national search. And
Whatever spits out, they report.
and you might have the same first name, last name, and date of birth as somebody else out there. And if they've committed any kind of crimes whatsoever, you've just gotten it, and you're getting denied that. And what's frightening is that I've seen a lot of people that have had they went through the background report and it was fine, and then they go and they get a checkup on it, like 2 years into their employment, they do a new check, and a crime shows up. It's like, well, I've been here the whole time.
I called you maybe a couple of months ago because I had come across the tax liens not being reported on credit reports. Have you learned anything? Because maybe that has something to do with what you're talking about. Is that they used to just kind of throw it out there and they would include it. So I thought.
No, I think there's been some conscientious decisions to stop reporting.
You think it has anything to do with legal action?
No, I think maybe because there's been a lot and there's been issues, and so the credit bureaus make decisions of what they're going to let and not let on for periods of time, and they could very well just say, you know what, we're not reporting public records for a while until we get this. We've got some issues in our system. Until we get that done, we're just public records aren't going to make it.
But they would. You say it's conscientious, or is it because they're afraid of litigation?
Well,
because guys like you are going to
both.
take.
I mean, one leads to the other. The only reason why they're conscientious about it is because they're getting sued for it. It's not because they're the creditors out there are saying
That's
doggone.
I don't want to know that information.
I don't want to know that they have a judgment against them.
But I think when I learned that, I was really surprised because it was in the midst of me trying to get a lien off of somebody, and the appeals officer on the other side told me, we don't report them. They're not reported on your credit score anymore. Because my argument was, well, it's going to affect his credit score, and it's going to affect whether he can run his business or not. And they said, well, it's not reported, so then it won't have an effect on your credit score.
Might
so
not.
I lost.
Might not. The other big thing with the
but I won. But he won, even though I lost.
Nice. The other big thing with employment background checks I don't want to leave out is
sure.
the other big issue that we see is expunged offenses. A lot of state statutes allow you to expunge the offense, or a lot of the things that you get arrested for. You can make deals with the state where your case gets dismissed if you go through some kind of conditioning process, and so you really aren't being convicted, or you get it expunged. The background companies don't filter them. They're going out and getting information and they're putting it on the report, and they're not filtering off expungements. So a lot of times you've gone through what you have to go through. You didn't mean to get arrested, whatever it was, whatever mistake it was an anomaly of who you were, and you got it expunged, and the court and the justice system agreed that, this should be a non-thing in your life.
But it's still a thing.
Boom, it shows up. That's not legal.
I always thought that was interesting when you get pulled over and you didn't. It was went through supervision and it's not going to get on your record, but everything's on your record.
It's on your record.
Everything's on your record.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about bankruptcy, because I do some bankruptcies, and you were talking in between about bankruptcies and inquiries. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when a consumer declares bankruptcy, that debt is discharged. And assuming it's not secured by something, or if it is secured by something, that thing which is secured is no longer in the consumer's possession. Mm-hmm. So it's gone. The relationship with that creditor is over. You don't have the right to look at my credit and look at me, and you don't have that right. We're finding that they do.
They do look at it.
After you've discharged debts, and look at a credit report a year after a discharge, and you will find sometime within that year, not every single time, but often, we are finding that some creditors pulling a report that we believe are propensity to pay reports. Collectors are doing it. Creditors are doing it.
Tell people what that propensity to pay report is.
So it's basically a report or a score that indicates what is your propensity to pay a debt right now. If they have money, they owe money. Where are they on a propensity to pay? What's the chances that they're in a spot where you can convince them to pay money right now? Versus somebody who looks like, look, you're not going to draw money out of this person, or somebody looks like, yeah, you're going to draw money out of this person. I don't know what information goes into that. That's for the big data companies. Whatever it is they're grabbing and putting in there, that information is about us, and it's going out in these reports. And these creditors are going out, or former creditors, debt collectors that have been discharged we're seeing it a lot, are pulling these reports. Whether they're doing anything with them, we don't know. But as a consumer, as a person, I would be uptight. I would be worried about it.
Because they're looking at you.
I don't know who's looking at what and why, but I don't have a relationship with you anymore, and it was troubling enough mentally and emotionally to put myself through bankruptcy, and disconnect myself from these things. And I wanted to have a forward-looking life. That's what it's all about. Fresh start, look forward. And the last thing I want to know is that somebody that is in the past there is doing something looking.
Yeah, well,
it's like an albatross.
It's amazing. It's like there's so much information in these reports that people don't really understand. Like you said, you could see an inquiry. It's in the report. Most people wouldn't know where to look for it.
Yeah, it's on your inquiries. So when you look on your credit report, you see the inquiries, and there's two different kinds of inquiries. There's three, but depending on which agency you're looking at or what kind of report you're looking at, they'll group it. There's the hard inquiries, what we call hard inquiries, and real inquiries. Those are actual when you applied. The hard inquiry section should only be companies that you actually applied to, and that's who.
So you would recognize them.
Yeah, you applied for something. You wanted a line increase. You wanted a credit line. You wanted anything, wherever. That's where it's going to show up. Now, those inquiries stay in your report for a period of 2 years, and they actually do affect your score to a certain extent. The lesser inquiries you have, it's not going to touch your score at all. If you're always applying for credit all the time, your score is going to go way down. So those are hard inquiries. Then there's other inquiries that are called account review inquiries, and those are these not hard inquiries. And it's usually what your own creditors are doing. And it's just
so they're checking up on you.
Checking up, making sure that you're keeping up with the terms of your agreement. Propensity to continue to pay your account is what they're looking at. You might find a lot of times that you've got,
Is this when they might raise my
yeah,
okay,
or
lower my credit limit,
raise or lower,
or raise my
you get a letter
rate.
out of nowhere from your creditor that says, congratulations, we just gave you $10,000 more, or hey, based upon a review of your credit, we're lowering your credit line to whatever your balance is, which is what they do. It's like you don't have any more room. Your balance is $3,000, and such is your credit line, and that's because they just looked at your report and they saw that your propensity to pay is going down, and they better not give you more credit. So you could look at those letters and line them up with an account review, and that's what account reviews are. There's promotional inquiries. Some of the credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, will separate out and tell you what a promotional inquiry is. Don't worry about that. That's nothing. That's when you're getting those letters offering you offering you a credit, a firm offer of credit you're supposed to get in the mail. Hey, 0% down for this first 6 months, and then it's 25%. But those are promotional. Those aren't really. They're not getting a report. You're actually all that's happened is your name was on a list that made a list.
So if people have false information on their report that they know of, they should contact you, shouldn't they?
Absolutely. You should contact me for sure, but you should also contact the credit bureau. The credit in this whole world of the credit reporting, a lot of people are really fast to blame the creditors, and you should, because it typically is them making the mistakes. But when it comes to credit reporting in the world of credit, oh boy, you're almost out.
Right.
It's all about they're the gatekeeper.
Okay, so give your number out.
So 888-822-1777, smithmarco.com, protectingconsumerrights.com.
Okay, well, thanks so much. We're going to. This show, though, is sponsored by Opem Tax Resolutions. We help business professionals solve IRS problems. 312-664-6649. Listen to the sponsors. Come right back here on AM 560. The Answer. A little better.
I forgot we're on that.
I was watching for us. So
I forgot we're on it.
Okay, so this is a segment we usually talk about real estate.
Okay.
I don't know that you need to, unless
not that I need to, but
Larry feels that someone's issues on their credit report.
Real estate people are great for me because people lose their house because something's on their credit.
Yeah. So if you can tie it in, then we'll do it.
Would you have
Would
you have advice for a first-time home buyer?
Regarding credit?
Yeah. Or anything.
Sure. I mean, I could always come up with something there. Yeah.
Okay,
Piece of cake.
First, Jimmy wants me to do this, so I'm going to do this first. and that's give you 30. If you had 30 seconds to give somebody a tip, so a 30-second tip, what would you tell somebody?
In what area?
Something
whatever you think.
something they don't know about,
Something that you know,
something that
hey,
comes
here's
up
something about your credit report or something that you
a frequent problem that comes up for people.
In the area of real estate credit?
No,
Doesn't have to be real estate.
Oh.
Anything with what you do.
Anything with what you do, yeah. What would be if you had 30 seconds to tell somebody, hey, this is some good advice. This is a good tip.
Sure.
Okay, so
Disputing. Credit disputing shouldn't be online. It should
Okay.
be in writing.
So this is what. I'm gonna put it on here now, because we do this for Instagram, and then he puts something that's not on the show to tease people to come to the show.
Okay.
So put your headphones on so you look official. and then I'll tell you when you get about 5 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
So you tell me. 1, 2, 3, go.
So my tip for you, a quick tip, if you're going to dispute your credit report, don't go online and use their online systems. Write your own letter, okay? Write a letter, send it certified so they get it, and you can prove they got it, and close whatever evidence you have. That's how you should do a dispute, not online.
Thank you. That's good. Okay, now let me make sure that I have it. Yep. Good. Okay. Great. Did it, Jim. Great job, he says.
Thank you.
I don't even need you anymore, Jim.
So you're doing the
We're gonna do a
real estate segment.
We're gonna do a real estate segment. We're gonna because I found is people who have been like yourself who've been involved. You have advice for first time home buyers because you know things that they don't know.
Tons, yeah, absolutely.
Generally, first time home buyers are younger people who don't really, I don't want to say they don't know that much, but they don't know that much.
You don't know that much.
Sorry.
You learn so much between first and second house, and you learn so much more between second and third.
And
if you're that lucky of a person,
and
that you're
20
buying
and
your third
50
house.
and 20 and 50.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560. The Answer. Step inside the minds of some of Chicago's most successful business leaders. Here's your host, attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
I will sell this house today.
Welcome back. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560, The Answer. I'm here with Deborah Schreiner, our technical producer. Our guest this week is attorney Larry Smith, who knows so much about credit reporting and things like that. And we usually do a real estate segment with our realtor, Jim Leahy. I wish I knew Jim's number. I would give it out, but I don't know his number. But you can contact me at 312-664-6649. Contact Jim because Jim knows helps first-time home buyers buy homes.
Oh,
And
you know what? I happen to have his phone number right here.
How'd you get that?
Oh,
so
no,
fast?
I've got, yes, Jim Leahy with Leahy Residential with
Right.
App Properties.
Yes, that's him.
847-271-3695.
So give Jim a call if you're a first-time home buyer, or if you're not a first-time home buyer.
Or if you're
buying a home.
buying your seventh home,
That's
give
right.
him a call.
That's true. Because then he wants to buy you. Because if you're buying your seventh home, you're probably going to buy an eighth too. 'Cause-
Or maybe you're like Bernie Sanders and you have 3 homes, but like most Vermonters, I have a summer cabin,
I thought he said camp.
a summer camp.
I have 3 homes, but one is a summer cabin.
See, Larry
Everything
thought it
he
was
says-
cabin too.
I thought
You just do like
maybe I just can't understand that.
every
so.
line has
Okay.
a hand movement,
But when we have
and you end down here.
I want you have because you've been through this a lot, and so I wanted to know: do you have any advice for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, I mean, God, tons, I would suppose. Usually that's first-time home buying is, I think, when a lot of people are waking up to their credit and, I have to have a score. This is when you're first realizing that one thing you did brought your credit down. If you're going to buy a home, I'd say, start your score enhancing process about 4 to 6 months ahead of time.
At least.
Yeah, look at your credit report. First things first, look at it and deal with the inaccuracies first, okay? I don't want to get into credit cleaners. They're out there. They're good people. They work hard. I can't promote them. I'm a lawyer. We work with inaccuracies. But the first thing you want to do is look for the inaccuracies and things that are wrong and things that don't belong there, and start your disputing. Dispute to the credit bureaus. Do it, in writing. Give whatever proof you have. If there's bad, wrong things on there, just start disputing those things, and whatever you can get off is going to increase you a little bit. And then,
good advice is start early.
Start early. Start at 4 to 6 months before, because every dispute process takes 30 days from the day they get it. So if you have to do 2 disputes or 3 disputes, you're using 3 months more, because, it's not 30 days isn't every moment. It's, 30 days from the day they get it. And I'm telling you to mail it in. So add an extra 5 days for each mailing. So start earlier, 4 to 6 months ahead, and get those disputes going, and make sure your credit is right, because
it makes a huge difference.
Your first loan and hopefully your last is a 30-year. The real dream goal is to get a great low rate. 30 years, always have it. So you want that. You don't want to go into it going, well, my credit's not wonderful, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to have an ARM for 3 years. I'm going to hope the rates are great. And so in 3 years, I'm going to hope I'm doing better, and I'm going to hope I have a better score, and I'm going to hope I can still live in this house.
Then I could refi later. And,
right, and that's where people lose their homes, because what happened in 08?
Agreed.
All of a sudden, the rates went up, ARMs all ended, time to refi, the rates are if you could
get a loan, even.
Right, and the rates were up they went from 6 to 12%, and people all of a sudden, I can't afford my payment, and people are leaving. So you want your one-time shot. Look, refinancing comes along, and you could do it. Somebody comes along and says your credit's great and the points are lower. We can refi you.
If you can save money, it makes sense.
Go to Hawks. Yeah, that's great. Good. That's because your credit's good. Get yourself in that position early, because if heaven forbid something happens again and rates go skyrocketing, you're comfortable for your 30 years. So start working on your credit 6 months before you buy your home.
That's great advice, I think, and we keep hearing that same theme when we talk to professionals about what you should do as a home buyer. But I thought that was a very good observation. It's like nobody really thinks about their credit until they start trying to buy a home, because even when you buy a car or something like that, they kind of push you through to get it to
you're not paying attention to what's
really
going on.
Yeah.
They always say yes for a car, and there's always a credit card company willing to give you something.
Exactly.
So you're not really catching the problems until you're looking at, a difference of $400 or $500 a month for the rest of, however long you're going to live in a house. And if you're starting your family out, you're hoping it's forever. This is where you want to plant yourself.
Well, that's very good advice from attorney Larry Smith. Tell people where they can get in touch with you, Larry.
You can find me at protectingconsumerrights.com, or our website is also smithmarco.com. That's our firm name, and we're at 888-822-1777. Give us a call.
Again, great advice for first-time home buyers. I think it's great. I love this section of the show. And remember, Jim Leahy, Real Estate. You can reach him at Opem Tax Advocates, because I changed the name, 312-664-6649. Again, it's 312-664-6649. You can go to chicagotaxteam.com and listen to the sponsors. Come right back here on AM 560, The Answer. Advice, Jimmy says.
Yep. So, I know. I've been there. I've done.
Okay, so I'm going to talk. Let's talk a little about car dealerships, like we were just talking about.
Sure.
Because I think people, you don't think about it.
No.
As you said, it's true when you walk in. Pretty much, they want you to walk out with the car.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I mean, look, it's that's what it is. When if somebody walks in the door, the objective is that they're walking out with a deal.
Unless you want to talk about something else. You want to talk about something else?
No, it's fine talking about this. I believe it or not, before I did Fair Credit Reporting Act work, the way I actually cut my teeth in consumer law was actually doing Illinois Consumer Fraud Act cases, and an overwhelming majority of them, 90% of them, were against auto dealers.
What did that entail?
Because I was working for a firm that was doing lemon law. That's what they did, and people would call up with other issues that weren't lemons. It was over the car. The dealership did something, and so they decided to bring me in to say, hey, not lemons but other stuff, and that's what I started to do.
Well, that
so
seemed
for
to
about
be-
4 or 5 years, that's all I did.
That seemed to be a big thing, lemon law. And why don't we hear about that too much anymore? Is it still out there?
It's still out there. It's just look, the cars they're getting made better and better and better. They're now cars are computers. They're not engines and wires.
Quality
and
control's better.
Yeah, they're all computer. Not the car used to be an engine and this. It's all run by a computer. It is.
And I guess and again, quality control's so much better than it used
Yeah,
to be.
they're doing a good job.
All the pieces are the same.
They're doing a
and
pretty decent job.
interchangeable parts.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some issues, and I mean, I don't know that you want to take any of your show on this one, but I mean, I'm dealing with a class action with Honda and their soy-based wires, and the fact that rodents.
Oh, I've heard this.
You heard about
Maybe
this?
it's from you that I heard that.
Maybe, or maybe you read about it. Maybe you saw a news report. I don't know. Rodents find wires. Now, the argument is that they're finding them because these wires are made of soy-based. There's a soybean oil in them. And so these rodents have a very strong sense of smell. They're finding it. They're eating it. They argue that, no, this is something that's always gone on. I've heard a lot of mechanics saying that this is getting more and more and more. It's happening a lot, and they think it's the content of it. Rodents will chew on these things because it's food. They also will chew on it because it cuts their teeth. The thing about it is this. It's not covered under your warranty. And you wouldn't know this. You're driving your car and your power steering goes out. Power steering's not working. Electricity or the gas line was cut or something.
Okay.
And
I'm
you
gonna
find
interrupt
out.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Because I love this discussion.
You
Let's
like
do
this?
it. Let's do it.
You like it?
Yeah, I do like it.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
We're going to do the Honda.
I think that's
This has been my project, and this is my life project here. This is great.
Okay, so I just think that's interesting.
won an
I've kind of
appeal so
heard
far.
about it, but it's it's so interesting because we don't think about I remember when I was a kid, I have learned that cats like to go up in warm engines during cold periods, and
It's a
and I
warm place
learned-
to sit.
and I learned in a very bad way. Yes. And so I never thought about it, it's not, but they crawl up there.
This is the thing. You don't think about it. Your car stops working, and you're covered under warranty, and it should be fixed. And lo and behold, it's not.
And of course, they're using the soy-based products because they think it's good for the environment.
Exactly.
And so they're helping the environment, but they're actually making it.
Yeah, but here's what's most troubling about it is what they say is it's not covered under warranty because it is an act of nature. And then what is an act of nature, right? And so you look in the warranty book and it says act of nature, but act of nature isn't defined, and as a lawyer, something has to be defined. Every insurance policy
'Cause otherwise
defines act of nature and act of God. We say an act of nature is this. It doesn't say anything. It says act of nature. So when you look up act of nature, if you just look it up in a dictionary,
Okay, hold on.
You know who you could call if you have a problem with rats or other pets?
We know who to call.
Who would you call?
I would call Rose Peslu, the Black Widow. The Black Widow.
Janelle Iachino?
Janelle Iachino of Rose Pest Solutions. She's great. We haven't had her on. We got to get her on
Well,
for the spring,
maybe
right, Jim?
yeah.
We got to get her on for the spring because that's when the bugs
That's
are coming
her.
out.
She has maybe you should get Larry some sort of song for his introduction.
Yes,
Janelle
'cause-
Iachino because she's with Rose Pest Solutions.
That's her. Well,
has-
we call her the Black Widow. The Black Widow. I love it. Okay, this is good stuff. So let's go to the.
Now, back to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560. Hear from Chicago's business leaders. Learn who they are, what they do, and why they do it. Once again, here's attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
That's right. I am attorney Stephen A. Leahy. Like the guy just said, he wouldn't lie to you. I'm here on the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560. The Answer with our technical producer, Deborah Schreiner. Our guest this week is attorney Larry Smith, who's got really great stories. And so I started talking to him about car dealerships and data, but he had a better story. So I'm gonna introduce Larry Smith and tell us about Honda.
Well, we're involved in a class action right now where we're suing Honda. It's right now just an Illinois Consumer Fraud Act class action. We'll see where it goes. But basically, some years ago, back in the early 2000s, Honda changed. They changed the wiring harnesses and wiring systems throughout to include a soybean epoxy. It's got like soy in it, okay? And rodents will smell this. They'll sniff it out, and they'll chew on it. But rodents they go into engines because they're warm, and they chew on wires because it cuts their teeth down. Rodents chewing wires are a problem. What we've heard, our research has shown us that once this soy change came in, there's been an increase, a great increase. It's happening more and more and more. More people are having issues. It's in the power steering lines, it's in the gas lines, it's in the fuel lines. Those wires are made of soy, and rodents will chew them up and cut it out. And you'll be driving your car down the road, and your steering will go out, or your car will cut off. And you're assuming that this is covered by warranty, so you take it and have it towed to the dealership, and they bring it into their service station. You expect to get just covered under warranty. Oh, the computer, blah, 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 blah. And they'll come to you and say, no, some rodent ate your wires. And you have to pay for it. And by the way, it costs like $1,500.
I would think
And they say, go tell your insurance company. Go make a claim. Oh, so now I got to go make a claim, right? So either ruin my insurance rates, or I've got to, come out of my own pocket $1,600. So so over the years, this has increased so much that Honda has actually created a fix. They created something called rodent tape. Yeah, so when this happens to you, they say to you, you got to pay for it out of your own pocket. This is an act of nature. That's what they say. And your warranty book says acts of nature are excluded from coverage. So you think, act of nature. Well,
I'm thinking hurricane. I'm thinking.
Right.
I'm thinking.
If you actually looked up act of nature in a law dictionary, it would say see act of God. An act of God, it would say a weather event that man has no control, something outside that man has no control over.
And I guess they would have some control because they,
in some way, shape, or form,
they picked the soy product.
So, and besides that, and even if they want to argue that this has always been happening, they also know how to fix it. They know that there is an issue with the vehicle, that rats get in, and that they can put a tape on it. And if you don't do this, it's going to cost you $1,500. Look, we're not necessarily saying that this is something that has to be covered under their warranty. What we're saying is consumers need to be disclosed this. If you look in your warranty book, and this is the thing, you look in your warranty book or you look in your owner's manual, you will see that they are warning your safety about every single solitary little thing. They warn you that the use of devices that emit radio signals could disrupt the computer. Yes, that could disrupt the computer function of your car. I mean, everything is being. You read these consumer complaints, and one consumer complaint I read was a guy that was turned into oncoming traffic. He couldn't control his car. This is a safety issue. Look,
I would think so. Yes.
Yeah. So look, you know that you've created a vehicle and a thing that rodents are finding and chewing and liking. Whether it's soy, whether it's not, whatever it is, you've created this condition. Okay? You could cover this, you could spray it with a pepper spray, you could do something to this, but you've created this, and you're putting it out there, and people are coming into a problem, and you're telling them when they show up that this is an act of nature, which it's not, and you're making them pay for it. We think it's a deceptive business practice. We think that, number one, of all the millions of things they're disclosing to people in their owner's manual and in their warranty book, disclose this too. This is a problem they know about.
I have to agree with you. And here in Chicago, we are the rat capital of the world. I mean,
Nailed.
not the world, maybe, but America.
It's
and
field rats too.
Well,
it's other rodents.
I know,
anything
but
that
here
can
in
get
Chicago,
in there.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm parking.
Yeah.
I'm buying a Honda. I'm parking it on the street. The rats are going to get in there. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And that's not. People don't think of it because rats are at nighttime, so that you hope not to see them.
So, clarify what you mean by active nature in your warranty book, so people know that you're including something that's not really a weather event, which is some other thing.
I have but I have to agree with you that it's like they disclose all this other stuff.
Everything. So disclose this. This
it,
is a safety issue, number one. Number two, it's a financial issue. If this happens to you, it's going to cost you quite a bit of money.
Exactly.
Out of your own pocket. So either you're paying it or you're making an insurance claim. Make this disclosure. Let them know that, hey, this is what goes on. This is part of your car. Here are things you could do to fix it ahead of time. You can buy this, you can do that, and you won't have the problem.
I want to point out that this is what consumer law is really all about, right? Is when you bring this stuff up because you force them to change and increase not only disclosure but safety issues. I mean, this is why you have consumer protection attorneys out there.
They need to come to the table on this one, and they need to address it. And this is something that they're fighting for like crazy. But we're going to keep fighting them back. And you see the passion in me when I'm talking about it. 888-822-1777. Visit us at protectingconsumerrights.com.
And if you're having some tax issues, then you should call Opem Tax Advocates at 312-664-6649. We're gonna close up the show in the next segment, so make sure you follow us here on AM 560. The Answer. Anytime you get passionate about anything, you want that on the radio.
This right here is like my little kind of retirement thing. Like this is like, you hear the stories of lawyers that, like, they get that one thing that they're gonna make me rich.
Yeah.
This is my case that I'm.
Because if it goes here, then you're gonna.
It's my meaningful thing because if it's besides.
How'd you come about it?
A friend of mine, it happened to him, and he was actually a judge's son who I'm friends with, and this happened to him. And he just, I helped him with some other thing once some years before, and he just loved me for it and came to me. He's like, look, I know you do this kind of stuff. I don't know if this is your thing, but this is what happened to me. And he goes, and then I did some research, and I read, and this is the stuff I found. And I went, And then I found that there was a few other lawsuits filed like it, and what was going on with them. And I started doing my own research, and I looked at the way those lawsuits were filed and why they failed. And
have you done any other class action?
Oh yeah, we've got a bunch.
Bunch of them.
That bankruptcy credit pull thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we've got
those. That makes sense because that would be everyone.
We got like a half a dozen of those are filed as class actions right now.
That's good.
There's a couple companies out there that are just doing it over and over and over. It's like there's one company, like this is the fourth time we've seen this company do it. Come on, we're classing. So we have a couple of those. Employment background cases. There's been a couple of large companies that have not been doing the process right, and we're about to wrap up 2 classes on that.
And of course, that's where attorneys can make their bread and butter on class action suits.
That's really the only way. Consumer attorneys. No, you make your bread and butter on all kinds of cases, just basically keeping your lights on if you can. But you need a class action if you're actually going to have any degree of success.
I get it. I get it. It's like everything else.
If you actually want to send your kids to school, to college, you have to have class actions.
You buy a new car once in a while.
As a consumer rights lawyer, you have to.
I get it. Let's do the next segment.
And now, back to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560. The Answer. Real conversations with some of the most trusted professionals in Chicagoland. Once again, here's attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Welcome back. This is the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560, The Answer. We had a lot of fun today. I got to tell you, Larry, our guest, attorney Larry Smith, our technical producer is Deborah Schreiner. Attorney Larry Smith has been here on a number of occasions already. That's because he's got such good information for people.
I'm glad to give. I'm glad to share. I'm glad to help.
And that's
Love
really
to help.
That's what.
Call me. I'll help you.
Tell me your phone
Call
number.
me. I'll help you. We're protectingconsumerrights.com. Protectingconsumerrights.com. That's what we do. That's who we are. smithmarco.com.
And a lot of these suits that you bring, right? The consumer doesn't pay anything.
No, the beautiful thing about consumer rights is most consumer statutes provide for what's called a fee shift, which means that if you are successful, then you can petition for attorney's fees and get fees, or some laws are even better and say you got to pay fees too. The way my firm works is if we think your case is good and we love it, then we'll take it, and our agreement will be that we won't, even if we lose, we're not going to charge you anything, we're not going to ask anything from you. If we like your case, we're willing to see if we could win, to see if we can collect our fees. It's not a take a percentage thing.
And that's why because you're going to get paid legal fees.
We don't take a percentage. Our clients typically suffer some loss, and we get that loss.
That's why if you think that that you have a case, give Larry a call because it doesn't cost you anything. If he thinks that you have something and he can bring the case, it still won't cost you anything.
888-822-1777.
That's amazing. And again, as we talked about in the last segment, that not only are you going to help yourself, you're going to help other people because other people are having that problem too. And you're going to solve a problem for other people who are facing the same consumer problem that you're facing.
I'll tell you something. Here's the key. When somebody comes to us with something new that we haven't seen before, because it evolves, the world evolves, thus the law must, right? Things that happen in
I'm a law geek,
right. Things that happen in the world, technology, data, these things evolve, and thus the way we practice does. So come to us with something, and we help you with it, and it's something new. When we learn something that's going on out there, we could expand and figure out the new problems. And we figure out how to solve them, and we're ahead of the curve on that, and we can continue to help people going into the future as technology and data grow and grow and grow.
And that's really what it's about. And I know that it sounds cliche, but most attorneys I know, their goal is to help people, and that's what we do.
Listen.
We want to make
regretfully, there's people out there that are only in it for the money. I'm sorry, but I think most of us, an overwhelming majority of us, are in it to really help the people that we represent and do good and do justice.
Because you hear these stories and you want to help people, and
right.
They're being taken advantage of in some way, shape, or form.
We're not doing it. We're not doing it. Look, we want to make money too. Sure. That's why we chose law. We were told when we were younger you can make a lot of money being a lawyer too.
They lied to us.
But then you're indoctrinated when you're in law school that you actually want to do justice, and you do. And that's what happens. I think you go to law schools because you want to make money, but then you come out of it as a lawyer.
Okay, tell people where they can get in touch with you, Larry.
888-822-1777, protectingconsumerrights.com. Thank you all so much for having me.
Again, if you think you have a consumer rights issue, call Larry. He'll tell you whether you do or not, and he'll listen to you. And that's what's so important about all the trusted professionals here.
I'll listen to you. I'm the one you're gonna talk to me.
So remember, the show is sponsored by Opem Tax Resolutions, who also help people with tax issues. 312-664-6649. We thank so much for joining us here today. Get well soon, Jim, and we'll see you next week here on the Trust Radio Network on AM 560, The Answer.
Thank you for tuning in to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560, The Answer. Be sure to join attorney Stephen A. Leahy again next Saturday night at 8 as he engages in conversations with some of the most trusted professionals in all of Chicagoland. Enjoy interviews with local professionals dedicated to providing the very best products and services. Learn who they are, what they do, and most importantly, why they do it. Take a step inside the minds of some of Chicagoland's most successful business leaders and learn all there is to know on the Trust Radio Network with your host, attorney Stephen A. Leahy. See you right back here next Saturday night at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, thanks so much, Larry. I mean, I always have so much fun when you're here.
Yeah,
that's why we keep inviting you back, because we have so much fun.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I really do. I love talking about it. I really do.
I think it's great. And again, that's why we have you on, because not only do you love to talk about it, but we love to hear you talk about it. So, so we're going to be back about 8 minutes. I'm going to take a picture with Larry and Okay. Always have fun with Larry Smith. And he helps people. That's what law, that's the only real fun in law anyway, Debbie, is to help people. Don't believe it. Coming down to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 0. We're on. Hello, people. I have returned. Wasn't that a great show with Larry Smith? I thought it was a great show with Larry Smith. Always fun to have Larry join us. So I'm going to put some, now that Jimmy's not here, I'm here by myself. And so we're going to talk about different, I don't know how much differently I can do it. Should I put a phone up? I'm trying to think what else I should put up. I'll deal with your IRS problem today. And I'll put this, oops, not there. Okay. We're going to start the show. We're going to kind of run right through it because I don't have anybody to banter with other than Deborah. And Deborah's got a job to do. Isn't that right, Deborah? So, I don't want to. Okay. So I hope Jim's still watching. I'm not going to play. So we're going to do, I'm going to talk about, I'm trying to think about, So that was my friend David Hochberg gave me a call, talked about property tax issues, because we're going to be helping people with property taxes on the Home Sweet Home Chicago radio show, which is heard every Saturday. And I guess we can talk about. I guess I'm going to talk about property taxes on the blog segment, and then on the because we help that's why we kind of changed the name to tax advocates, because we help people with taxes. Yes, IRS is the main one that we help people with, usually because if you owe somebody, it's the IRS. You owe them more than anybody else. If you don't pay your property taxes, they come and take your house away from you. And you lose your home. And then on the Mr. Know-It-All segment, I'm going to talk about state tax issues. Did I talk about that last week? I don't remember. But we're going to talk about state tax issues because it's weird how this happens, that the same issues keep coming up. They always come in bunches, and so now I'm getting a lot of these state tax cases. So we'll talk about that. And then on the third segment, I guess we're going to do a Trump segment, Deborah. We'll do, because the focus on Trump recently, also Constitution, because I don't know if you saw this with with Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that the president was talking about that they should recuse themselves from some cases with him. Did you see that, Debbie? So maybe I'll do. So maybe the Constitution. Let's do this Constitution because I just like the intro better. Although I love your Trump issue too. I like that too. So whenever you're ready, let's start the show and we can go from there. Okay.
So here's segment 4 from last.
And it gets worse and worse and worse as we talk about on this. Come after you, and they're going to the phone and on what they call field visits, and they're going to knock on. They're going to tell, hey, IRS here to see me, and you answer the door, and they flash the people who have not filed.
Mr. Know-It-All, the segment where attorney Stephen Leahy gives his infinite wisdom on all things taxes. This week is going to be a great question from a listener. What is the question?
Well, first, I'm going to get a little sidetracked here because the IRS is coming. I was just looking at the news, and the IRS is coming out with some. They're visiting people. Okay, so what happens?
One more time for the people who just got them out.
Okay, 312. Put it in your phone. 312. And when they come knocking at your door, you tell them, and his name is Stephen Leahy, and here's this matter, and I will get back. They can come right up to your door.
Blazing.
And you're called like any other police officer. Understand about not filing your tax returns, and that's really who they're targeting. Okay, it's a crime, so they can send the criminal division to your house and say, questioning you and maybe and they're going to charge you with the crime. Now we say, well, I
talk about
I
this
know a lot of
whole
people who
segment?
didn't file their tax return. They didn't get arrested.
I must have.
They don't arrest everybody, but they're day. You put your head in the sand every day, and you're thinking about it for years. It's been bothering you, but you haven't.
Last week you talked about the IRS coming to your house, not property taxes.
That's big news too. I think I was going to talk about property taxes, but then that came up, and because that was big news that came out that the IRS was coming after people who make more than $100,000, and they're going to start visiting their home. I thought that was So I think that's why I got confused because I was going to talk about this, but we're going to talk about this today. That's correct.
Hooray!
I don't have to do a lot of camera changes because it's just me.
Keep the camera on Stephen Leahy all the time. That's what the viewers want, really. When you get down to it, they don't want the camera to pan to Jim. No one wants that. Just kidding, Jim. Feel better.
What's on the show today?
Have some chicken soup.
I just showed what was on the show today. Jim, weren't you listening? Okay. So
the Constitution segment.
And let me look
property taxes for Mr. Know-It-All. Is that right?
No,
or what segment?
Property taxes is segment
the blog.
Is the blog segment, and then state tax issues is the
state tax issues. Okay.
And then so let me. Okay. Let's go.
Pursuant to Internal Revenue Service guidance, be advised that any federal tax advice contained in this program is not intended to be used, and it cannot be used by any person or entity for the purpose of avoiding any tax penalties that may be imposed by the Internal Revenue Service or any other U.S. federal taxing authority or agency, or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any transaction or matter addressed in this show. The opinions expressed by the host and the guests are their own and may not be used as authoritative advice. Any use of this material without the written consent of the host is strictly prohibited.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy, on AM 560, The Answer. Tune in every week at 5 for an informative discussion about IRS obligations, credit card debt, mortgage default, collection activity, and how to resolve these legal issues using tax resolution, debt settlement, mortgage loan modification, foreclosure defense, and bankruptcy. Your host is Stephen Leahy, and the principal at Opem Tax Resolutions and the law office of Stephen Leahy, PC. Stephen is the author of Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. IRS and debt issues are serious, but there is help. There are resolutions. So get ready and take notes during the IRS Radio Hour. And now, here's your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy.
Hello, Chicago taxpayers. We are coming to you from Studio C here at AM 560 The Answer. This is the IRS Radio Hour.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Now remember, this show is sponsored by the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC, and Opem Tax Advocates.
God bless you, Opem Tax Resolution.
I still take that as a God bless the Opem Tax Advocates. Too bad he's not here to change that for me. We help business professionals with IRS problems and other tax issues. We help them with audits and levies, liens and garnishments, collections, unfiled tax returns, and payroll tax issues. But we also help with mortgage foreclosures, loan modifications, bankruptcy, state tax issues, and property tax issues. So if you have any of these problems or issues or questions, you should give us a call at 312-664-6649. Again, it's 312-664-6649. You can visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com.
Remember, though, if you have questions and you're shy, and a lot of people are, they don't want to talk to somebody about it, then you could go to freeirsbook.com. I've been giving a lot of books away. So go to freeirsbook.com. Get your copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. It's for free. Go there. Get one. It'll answer a lot of your questions. So anyway, I wanted to welcome our technical producer, Deborah Schreiner.
Hey, Stephen, good to be with you, but I miss Jim.
I miss Jim, too. Jim's not here today. Our residential, my nephew, my good friend, our realtor is not here today, so he has the flu. I don't think it's the coronavirus. I don't think so.
Oh, I hope not.
But the flu's going around. I know a lot of people with the flu that they've been having, and so he probably caught it from someone. So better he stays away and doesn't share it with us.
I know what will help Jim to feel better.
What's that?
Everybody, oh, we like the best. We like the best. Oh, we like the best.
His favorite song to do at karaoke.
That will make him feel. I'm sure he's watching now because we're on Facebook here on live on Friday afternoon, so you can join us on Friday afternoons at
Tell
Facebook.
your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell my friends. They don't know either. But let's go into the first segment.
It's the news roundup.
Review and comment on the news. Thank you, Deborah. She's filling in for Jim today because I forget those. That's funny. Anyway, this is more of a walk through the last week than there's lots going on. There is more going on than the coronavirus. You wouldn't know it if you don't watch the news, right? Because the coronavirus is everywhere. But first, I want to talk about last Friday evening. We had the Sweet Night Out event at the Hawks game.
How was that?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. A lot of trusted professionals. Fireplace and Chimney. They weren't there. They were there the next night. I'll talk about that in just a second. But we had Kelly Mickley from Executive Green Carpet Clean. We had Jackie Hayden from the insurance company, Delta Insurance. We had, who else was there? Matt was there from Ultimate Screen Printing.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had some clients there. Had some family, so we had a great time.
Did you get anything? This is what I want to know. Did you get anything from the fancy dessert cart?
Yes, we did.
What did you get?
I ate whatever was left, because the dessert cart, it's the portions are so big, and if you get your own, almost everybody throws it away. So my wife, I can't eat the whole thing, so she got. But it was great. We had a great time. Hawks came back in the third period to tie the score, and then won in overtime. So it couldn't have been I couldn't have scripted it any better than that. It was really good.
It was a sweet night for the Sweet Night Out.
Exactly. Now, the next morning, so my wife and I stayed at the Hilton over by 875 North Michigan. It used to be the Hancock Building, but they don't call it that anymore. It's called 875 North Michigan now. I ask most people, they don't even realize that they changed the name. When they changed the Sears Tower, everybody was up in arms. When they changed Macy, people couldn't. But when they changed Hancock, nobody says anything. I don't know.
Hey, what happened?
What happened? They changed the name is what happened. I think they're shopping it around for some big company to take the name. Like they did Willis Towers, which is still a Sears Tower.
And you were there for Hustle Chicago,
right?
right?
We were there for Hustle Chicago. But first in the morning, I did the David Hochberg Home Sweet Home Chicago show.
Wow.
And so that was downtown. So we stayed downtown. I went to the show, did the show, had lunch with David and some others. We had a lot of fun. Then we had a VIP event at the 95th floor for the Hustle Chicago. They had great food up there. Last 2 years that Jimmy and I were up there, there was a cloud cover, so we'd go up there and you couldn't see anything. But on Saturday, it was clear it was so clear. It was very beautiful. Have some great pictures posted.
Teresa was there with
you,
right?
Teresa was there this year with me. Our friends Chris and Jeanette were there with us. And
Jimmy.
No, Jimmy, because Jimmy didn't climb this year. But now the next morning we had the climb. Jimmy did show up for the climb, and our Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Adam McMahon was there, our trusted professional. He's on Team Opem. Chris Bartos was there. He was on Team Opem, and they both beat me. Matter of fact.
Wow.
Yeah, and I trained like crazy. I had the wrong strategy.
I don't want to get into too much, but it was a right strategy. But I'll tweak it next year and do better.
But it was a good event, and they raised a lot of money.
They raised
I hope.
nearly $1 million.
Wow.
They're still raising money. So if you want to go to resphealth.org, you can contribute to that. It's a great organization. Great. They do great work here in Chicago. The money is local, so it stays here in Chicago. And then after the event, I did about the same time I always do. A little worse. I was hoping to do better. I was at 22 minutes and 7 seconds.
Still great.
Oh, it's still good. I'm still proud of myself. And again, next year I can tweak my strategy, and I think I could beat my best time, which was 19 minutes and 40 seconds last time.
Wow.
So anyway, so I'm hoping to do that. But then after the event, then we did a pub crawl. We went to Pippin's. Pippin's is over there on Rush Street by Loyola. I went to Loyola, so I'm familiar with Pippin's. I lived in that neighborhood, so I'm familiar with Pippin's. And
is your name written on the wall anywhere at Pippin's?
I do not do that. I do not. I'm not.
You're right. It's wrong.
I'm not one to scratch my name. Now, matter of fact, this is funny because that you mentioned that, because the second tavern we went to was Billy Goat's on Michigan Avenue. And so they caught some girl carving her name she had a steak knife and she was she was carving her name in the wall, and the bartender went over and said, "Give me that thing."
Excuse me.
And so she stopped her from carving her name in the wall. But I love Billy Goat's. They have a great burger. Great place. I love the place.
Did you have food at all of the stops on the pub crawl, or at some places did you only have a beverage?
No, just beverage. And really,
where did you get food?
At Billy Goat's. We went to Billy Goat's and had the burgers, and I think there was a hot dog joint right next to Pippin's. We had some hot dogs there too. So it was a lot of fun. I had probably too much fun. But can you have too much fun, Deborah? I don't know. I don't think so.
Never too much.
So next year, we're looking forward to next year. We want you to join us in Team Opem and climb the stairs. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but a lot of people take an hour sometimes. So it's not. While it's a race, it doesn't have to be a race, but it's a good excuse to exercise during the winter. So join us next year. We had a lot of fun. You can join us with all those events. We're going to have another event coming up at Rosati's coming up for our next anniversary, which is in June, April, May. I think May's our anniversary, so we'll probably have it sometime in June. So anyway, this was I didn't talk about news except for the news.
No, it was the news of Stephen Leahy's
and I didn't even talk
weekend.
about Puchki's Tuesday. Well, they were awesome. I didn't talk about that. I didn't talk about Ash Wednesday, which was also another great event. We had a great week at the office. And we're going to talk about that in the next blog segment. So join us here. Now remember, this show is sponsored by the Law Office of Stephen Leahy and Opem Tax Resolutions, where we help a business.
And Opem Tax Advocates.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that. And we help people with tax issues. So if you have any tax issues, you should give us a call at 312-664-6649. Again, that number is 312-664-6649. You can go to the web at chicagotaxteam.com. So listen to the sponsors. Come right back at the end here on AM 560.
The Answer.
Very good. I didn't mean to talk about that the whole time, but I did. So
hey, you know what? You had a very busy weekend.
I did have
You were out on the town. It's good. You're not just always cooped up in your office doing legal work. Sometimes.
What did we do on Thursday?
Get out and paint the town.
It was a great.
Go on to the city.
It was a great week. Well, of course, I did the show last Friday, and then we went right from here to from the show right downtown. So it was a lot of fun, and we had a great group of people. It was a lot of fun. Oh, I didn't even mention. I want to mention that that executive green carpet clean also cleaned my carpets today.
I'm curious. What times did your other friends get for their Hustle Chicago?
He was right around 21 minutes. So
Adam McMahon.
I don't know what Adam did. He left, and we had some problem. I haven't looked him up. So but he beat us both. He's 30 years old. He's in good shape.
Former police officer.
Former
right?
police officer is correct. I don't know, and we booked him to be on the show again. I'm not sure what his time is, but we'll find out when he comes on the show what his time was.
I got to tell you this. He started running up the stairs. I thought he's never going to make it.
He started out running?
He started out running. My whole strategy this year was take it slow. Some guy said, if you think you're not going slow enough, you're not going slow enough. So slow, slow, slow. So my goal, and I had practiced this to do the first 40, 50. My goal was to do the first 50 flights in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 30 seconds.
Wow.
But I did it in 14 minutes. So when I didn't look at my watch until I got to the 50th floor. That was another mistake I made. So when I looked, I was at 14 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm like, I'm never going to make the 20 minutes. That's 6 minutes for 40 flights. But I still did 22, so I still did
really
pretty good. And I think if I would have kicked it in, at 30 or 40 rather than 50, I would have beat my best time. Because when I got to 50, I wasn't even tired. I wasn't breathing hard. I was really in good shape there.
Wow.
But I should have looked at my watch more and started. I should have kicked it in earlier. That's what I did wrong. So it was a good strategy, badly implemented. Let's put it that way, in my opinion.
You learned from it, though.
Well, next year I'll tweak it, make it better. So
You're always looking to improve your time.
absolutely. So let me get my glasses, and then we'll do this segment.
Don't trip.
See it anyway, the book. Okay. And I got to push Larry. I want to talk about Larry Smith next week, and also I want to talk about Executive Green Carpet Clean because they're cleaning my office today.
Is it right now?
Yeah, they probably 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. They said they were going to be there, so they're probably doing it right now.
Wow.
Maybe I should pull them.
Did the Blackhawks win when you were there?
They did. They came back in the third period and tied it, and then they won it in overtime.
Right. They won it in overtime?
Yeah, it was a lot of. Yeah, couldn't have wrote a better script.
How exciting! Jim was at the Sweet Night Out, right?
Yes, he was.
So.
I'm trying to get the Executive Green so I can give you their telephone number away. And I should probably get Smith Marco so I can give their number away. 888, he said. What's the number? No, he didn't give that number out. He gave 800 number away.
You want me to play it for you?
No, I'll find it.
I'll play it for you from the show.
Here it is, 888-822-1777. There it is. Okay.
Was that it? That wasn't.
It didn't sound like the same number.
No. Let me get for you what he played, what he said.
Okay.
Let me play for you what he said.
Okay. And I'll write it down here.
Now, back to the trust.
Bit of money. Something that they're fighting for.
Here on AM 560.
888-822. But we're going to keep fighting them back. And you see the passion in me when I'm talking about it. 888-822-1777. Vidas.
Oh, that was it.
Because he said it. Because he said it differently. 1777. Okay, so we'll give that away, and I'll give the Executive Green Carpet Clean away. I want to shout out to them, and then I'm going to talk about property taxes.
Are you ready?
Hold on, I just want to come up with so I can have the following are open for appeals. Okay, I am ready.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. I am your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. This is like the guy just said. He always tells you the truth. Here on AM 560 The Answer. Here with our my co-host this week and technical producer Steph Schreiner.
I'm moving up.
We aced Jimmy out. He's out. No, I'm just kidding. Jim's not feeling well today, so we're wishing him the best.
Feel better, Jim.
Feel better, Jim. And he will, and I'm sure he'll be here next week. I hope, and I hope he's feeling better. So, but now remember, we also have another show here on AM 560 The Answer. Here it's called the Trust Radio Network. It's heard every Saturday at 8 o'clock. And we interview trusted professionals, people you can trust when you're making important decisions. We have a regular guest now. This next week, we're going to have Larry Smith on. Larry Smith is an attorney, and he helps people with consumer law. And he talks about the Fair Credit Reporting Act and things like that, and other data sources. Great show. You got to watch. You got to listen. He gives great advice. He's got some great stories about this, so you got to join us and listen to that. Last night, who did we have on last night? Last night was I'm trying to remember who we had on. Anyway, also one of our trusted professionals is Executive Green Carpet Clean. They were at the Sweet Night Out event last week with us, and they're at my office cleaning my office this week. I always use them. I wouldn't use anybody else. We have a carpet cleaning company in the building that I'm at, but I don't want to use them. I want to use Executive Green because I know they do the best work. And
last night on the show, you had Mary Biagini
Mary
from
Biagini,
Properties,
who talked about real estate and buying properties in Wisconsin. What a great show that was, too. I learned so much at these shows, and you, too, can learn a lot from on these shows because we have on these trusted professionals who really know what they're talking about. And so no matter what issue it is, whether it's consumer laws with attorney Larry Smith or buying property in Wisconsin with Mary Biagini or Executive Carpet Clean, who know more about carpet cleaning than you ever thought of, or Igor Marak when it comes to Mr. Floor and all the David Hochberg when it comes to mortgages. These people know more about their business than anybody else should know. You can learn that from them. And so I invite you to join us every Saturday night here on AM 560 The Answer for the Trust Radio Network. So let's do the next segment.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
Now, this week, as everybody knows, this is Opem Tax Advocates helps people with tax issues, mostly IRS stuff. I help people with solve IRS problems, when the IRS starts knocking on your door. But we also help with other kind of tax issues because I'm the tax guy. I'm the tax man, as everybody knows. We play the song here on the show, and so I get a lot of calls, not only about the IRS. The most common call is about the state issues, and we're going to talk about that on the on Mr. Know-It-All segment about state tax issues because I'm getting a lot of calls about that. So we help people with state tax issues. But we also help people with property tax issues. And that's what people, again, here's what's most relevant in most people. Everybody has to pay the IRS, but everybody doesn't have IRS problems because 80% of us pay the IRS on time and file our tax returns on time. So 80% of us don't have any problems with the IRS. But many of us own a home, and even if you don't own a home, if you rent, you're paying. The owner of that property that you're renting has to pay property taxes. And so then here in Illinois, as we all know, the property taxes have really gone out of control, and every depending on what county you live in, about when you can and actually not only the county, but then the township of that county, when you should appeal those property taxes. Now, most people should appeal. Not everybody should appeal. Some of them are right. But so what happens is when you figure out what your property taxes are, right there, they have a multiplier for the county and a multiplier for your
for your township, and then there's a multiplier for the state because all of them have their finger in the till to trying to take their end. Okay, so those are fixed numbers. So the only number that isn't fixed when it comes to your property tax is the assessed value. And so this is where when you're going to appeal your property taxes, and you think they're too high, this is what you're going to appeal. You're going to appeal what the assessed value of that house is, of your house is. And so if they over-assess your house and they say it's worth more than it is, well, then you're going to be paying too much property taxes. And so, again, this is where you attack it. You attack it at the assessed value. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about property taxes, and there's you don't need a lawyer to do this, and if you go to the assessor's office, they'll tell you that you don't need a lawyer. It's a lot like the IRS. If you contact the IRS, they'll tell you, oh, you don't need an attorney to fix your IRS problem, and they'll tell you don't need an attorney to appeal your property taxes, and that's true. You don't need a lawyer. But the thing is, in my opinion, the success rate with someone who's done this, who understands the process and who can work through the process. And now when we do property tax assessments, we help people. You don't pay us unless we save you some money. Okay, and so when you get your tax bill, and it's coming out now. Now's the time. Especially Cook County, they come out, and every 3 years it's divided into 3 sections. The Cook County, so they have the north section, they have the city, and then they have the south side. Now they're reassessing. So every 3 years they reassess your taxes, and then they tax you based on that assessment for the next 3 years. Okay, or 3 years, the first year and then the next 2 years, and then it comes around to reassessment. So they send you a notice of this reassessment. Now, a lot of people don't even get that notice, right? Because might go to your mortgage company because maybe they're paying your property taxes, or maybe you just don't look at it, and they send you a notice. When they send you the first notice, there's the first window opens for you to appeal that, and it's a very limited time. It's only 30 days from the date that you get it. And so right now there's it's the south side. In 2020, south side is being reassessed, and so they just opened River Forest and Riverside, and these others are opening up now, and so that window is opening up. So if you live on the south side in the south suburbs of Cook County, now's the time to start focusing on reassessing your property. On the reassessment of your property tax, and then appealing that reassessment. Because again, if you think that they're telling you, and it's really high, it's really compared to your neighbors. So if your home is like your neighbor's home, but they say your home is worth $250, but they're saying you that your neighbor's home is only worth $175, well, you're going to be paying a lot more taxes than your neighbor because they've said your home is worth more. And so you want to go ahead and appeal that and get that number down to get it what it really is worth, so you don't overpay on your taxes. And I think many people overpay their taxes and they never appeal it because they don't believe there's anything they can do to when the tax rate comes out. There's a lot of complaining. Everybody thinks it's wrong. They talk to their neighbors about it, but they never appeal it. And so take the first step and give us a call, 312-664-6649, and we'll discuss whether appealing your property taxes is the right move for you. Now remember, if we can't lower your property taxes from what the reassessment is, well then we won't charge you. It doesn't cost you anything. That's the way it generally works. Now sometimes we have a review fee because we have to look at the value of your property and do some investigation, but it's nominal. Generally we charge $100, but if you call with this, I'm only going to charge you $35. Okay, so $35 a review fee, and then we'll take a percentage on whatever we can save you. And we'll talk about that when you call 312-664-6649. Now, you don't have to be in the reassessment year to appeal your taxes. And so if you're in the north side or in Chicago and your taxes were reassessed and you think it's too much because the way the property tax works, you don't see it till next year, you could still appeal those taxes. So if you think that your house was appraised at a too higher value, give us a call, 312 312-664-6649. If you have any other kind of tax issues, if the IRS is coming after you, if the state of Illinois is coming after you. I have clients now where other states are coming after them, Colorado, Florida, so Iowa. So if these other states are coming after you, then you need to give us a call at 312-664-6649. Again, that number is 312-664-6649. Opem Tax Advocates is out there helping you fight the tax authorities.
They can also go to chicagotaxteam.com. That's going to be their hub to help fight the IRS.
And Deborah's right. And so go to chicagotaxteam.com and then listen to our sponsors and come back on the other side here at AM 560, The Answer. Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for filling.
You're welcome.
I'm
taking my role as co-host pretty seriously. I'm really trying to step up and fill Jim's
you did
shoes.
That. You did that, so thank you so much. I never know how much I miss.
I
Jim
like how Jim didn't make a point to thank me that on the Trust Radio Network I found his phone number.
He did though.
He did.
He did
thank
though.
Me?
Yes,
did
he did. Yes, he did. Yes.
Okay,
so
I take it back.
My mistake for not. First he said, "Oh," you know he does it. And then he said, "Thanks. That was fabulous." That's what he said. Oh.
Okay.
So he did say that. So my mistake for not reading it to you. The Trust Radio Network. Okay, so let me pull this story up about Trump and Sotomayor. I happen to agree with him. But then...
So can I play the Constitution segment?
Yes.
I am the judge?
Yes. Because we're talking about judges. Trump says Sotomayor and Ginsburg must recuse themselves from cases. And people are having how dare, he's intimidating them. He they're an equal branch of government. And whatever, I'll save my commentary for the segment. It just amazes me how unhinged everybody comes out about him. Uh-oh. Let me change the sun.
I can do it.
Oh, I just caught that myself. Thank you. Thank you, Devin. I'll do this one. Where's my bolt juice?
Well, Jim says that's the best way to do it, so...
First thing he's been right about.
Ever in his life. Just kidding, Jim.
So I had a client come in yesterday who's here illegally. Something came up about illegal immigrants. I just don't think they're doing anybody a favor because they say that like here in Illinois, that's a sanctuary city. And they can stay, but they're not. But they can't get a job because unless they use a false Social Security number, because you can't hire someone without a Social Security number, and they can't get a Social Security number, so they can't have a job. But you want them to stay. How are they going to stay if they can't get a job? Can you someone answer that for me, please, if you're listening to my rant?
Who's on first?
Who's on first is correct. I love that. And so I'm a great catcher. So I pick up the ball and I throw it to who? Well, naturally. So I throw it to who? Naturally. Okay, so I pick up the ball, I throw it to naturally. No, you don't. You throw it to who? Naturally. Yeah, now you're talking. I love that. I love that bit. And it is baseball season. They have started playing games now.
Woohoo!
It is, to me, very, very important.
Okay, the Constitution segment.
The Constitution segment. Here we go.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy.
From 1788 until the end of time, we the people make a resolution to defend the Constitution.
We're not going to sit here and listen to you badmouth the United States of America.
So let liberty, justice, and freedom ring. It's the Constitution segment.
Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do.
Now, everybody know I am the judge.
Everybody know I am the judge. So welcome to the Constitution segment. I am your host. I'm Attorney Stephen Leahy.
Everybody knows you are the attorney.
That's true. And the tax man. I am the tax man. I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. But here I'm with Deborah Schreiner, our technical producer, and our co-host Jim Leahy is not here to comment about the Constitution segment. What I want to talk about is the outlandish outrage that people have now about Trump talking about Ginsburg and Sotomayor. So a case came before the Supreme Court about
y'all tell Sotomayor I say hello.
Lindsey Graham has visited us. So what happened was there was a case came before the Supreme Court because the Trump administration brought it, a district judge, and this has been happening ever since he became president. They find some district judge in some far-off land, usually in California, to bar something like his immigration ban, and this district judge comes up with a ruling that that affects the whole country from this little tiny district. And if you follow the normal procedures, it goes from district, then it's got to go through appeals, and then it's got it could go from district to appeals court, then en banc, then the Supreme Court. But there are cases that go right from the district court, and then they petition the Supreme Court to hear these cases, so we can get to an answer right away. And so that's what the Trump administration has been doing. When these district courts make these judgments, they bring it right to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has heard them and overruled most of them, because most of them they need to be overruled because they're just outlandish, in my opinion. And so Sotomayor came out and said this is ridiculous. The Republicans, Trump people. Now she didn't mention Trump's by name, but everybody knew what she was talking about, that they shouldn't do this. This is a travesty. They should follow the procedures, and the Republicans on the court are just wrong by doing what they're doing. And so then Trump came out and then named her and said, Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I don't know if you recall this, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg was also bad-mouthing the president by name and taking counter positions. They're not supposed to take any positions against the administration. Why? Because these issues might be heard by them, and they're supposed to be unbiased. And so if they voice their opinion about certain issues, then they're supposed to recuse themselves when it comes before them in the court. Now, so that's what Trump was saying. You should recuse yourself. You are clearly biased against me. You've said so on a number of occasions, both the Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and so you should recuse yourself. And the left just went wild. How can he say such things? He's talking about the Supreme Court. He's trying to intimidate them, and he's trying to. Now, his position was that Sotomayor was trying to intimidate the other justices to vote with her, and she shouldn't do that. My own opinion is it's true that if you voice a opinion on a certain matter that's already before the court, then you should recuse yourself when it comes time to make a decision. We heard all this with the impeachment trial, and should they all, they would all have to recuse themselves. There'd be nobody left because everybody had an opinion. Well, we're going to sit in judgment, and we're unbiased. There was nobody there that was unbiased. And I guess it's the same thing in the court, but you're not supposed to voice that opinion when you're a sitting Supreme Court justice. You're supposed to hold your own opinions. That's why when they go to the State of the Union and the Supreme Court's members are sitting on the front, they don't clap, they don't stand, they don't cheer. They just sit stoically and listen, as they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to go one way or another about what their opinions are. And like I said, everybody has opinions. They're entitled to their opinion, but they're not entitled to voice their opinion because their opinions carry so much weight. And so they're supposed to be unbiased. So my own opinion is, and my opinion might not carry that much weight, but is that Trump was right. If they voice an opinion on a certain issue, when it comes before the court, they should recuse themselves. Here's the good news: we don't need them right now. They're losing those votes anyway, and so it really wouldn't matter if they recuse themselves or not. So in that way, it doesn't matter. But that's not always going to be the case. It's not always going to be that way, and so. When a Supreme Court justice says something, they should recuse themselves. That's my opinion. And I am Stephen Leahy. And so I am, now remember, this show is sponsored by Opem Tax Advocates. We help people with tax issues, 312-664-6649. You can visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com. Now listen to the commercials, go to the sponsors, and come right back afterwards here on AM 560, The Answer. That's good. Oh, that's right. I'm going to be on David Hochberg next week again. Oh, that's why David called. He said he just did the commercials for that.
Wow. You're really all over the radio, Steve.
Well, I'm trying to be. Now, if it just translated into business, and it has really. I've had a really good month, so.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Woo!
Because the January.
Yahtzee.
Were you a Yahtzee player?
No.
I never played Yahtzee either.
Like yelling Yahtzee for no reason.
I never played that game, Yahtzee. I've never been. My wife always tries to get. She always tried to get us growing up when the kids were growing up to play board games, but I never was a board game guy, so I never played the board games. I guess when I was a kid, we played.
What about? Have you ever
Aggravation.
played that dice game, Farkle?
That's a fake game, isn't it?
It's a real game.
Never heard of it. No.
I think it's a newer dice game.
Okay, the Farkles were the people that lived next door in Laughlin. Are you familiar with that?
Were they?
Yeah, the Farkles. And that's the Farkles. Actually lived next door. They had red hair and freckles, and all the guys' kids had red. The neighbors' kids had red hair and freckles, because the Farkles were having fun with his wife.
Farkle dice game.
No, I never heard of it. Let's see about Farkles. Farkle. I don't even know how to spell Farkle. Laughing.
It's all about you got to get certain combinations of, I think you shake up 6 dice in a little cup and then roll them out and see what matches you get.
Okay, so it's like what, like card matches? Is that like card games or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like pair, 3 of a kind.
Kind of, yeah. It says 4 of a kind.
Isn't that Yahtzee too? I don't know. I don't play Yahtzee, so I don't.
Wow, we really
we're not
giving so much valuable game advice right now.
I did look
Very
up.
vague.
I did look up the Farkles, and.
When are we starting our vague gaming podcast, Stephen?
Here's the Farkles' new family members with Milton Berle. I don't watch it, but I bet you it's funny. It's funny. It's crazy. Again, because Farkle has red hair, and he comes over to the next door, and all of the kids, his neighbors' kids have red hair.
What show was that on again?
That's Laughing.
On Laughing.
That was before your time.
I'm familiar, but I did not watch it.
I think it was before your time. It was kind of like It was kind of like Saturday Night Live in the sense, but it wasn't live. But you remember,
more variety show though, right?
Yeah, it was a variety.
Stuff.
Yeah, it was most fun stuff. Goldie Hawn was on that show. That's how she broke in to the business. They used to have the big wall with the
the main thing I think about from Laughing is some woman hitting people with her purse.
Yes, Ruth Bader Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg, we call her. They look alike. Yeah, they do. That was Ruth Buzzy. Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg.
No.
And then, because very interesting but stupid. That was Artie. He was from here in Chicago. Artie Johnson. He did a German. That was very good. Again, he was from here in Chicago. My friend's father went to school with him. Who else was on that show? Funny show. Of course, Rowan and Martin. It was the Rowan and Martin laughing. They were very funny. Okay, let's do the next segment, and I will talk about. What am I going to talk about? Oh yeah, state tax issues.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Yeah, I am the tax man here on AM 560 The Answer with our co-host and technical producer Deborah Schreiner. I hate to put the pressure on her because she's got a job to do. The technical producer is a pretty big job. Okay, but she's co-hosting for my co-host Jim Leahy.
Co-host for a day.
Who's not here because he's ill. I don't think it's the coronavirus, but he'll be better.
Yeah.
But I'm here with Deborah Schreiner, and I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy, and you, the listener.
And now, here's that man with a head just crammed full of knowledge, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right, Mr. Know-It-All, the segment where attorney Stephen Leahy answers your burning questions about all things tax related.
Very good, Deborah. I wouldn't have remembered all that. Very good. So today I'm going to talk about, this is the question today. Can you help people if you're having state tax issues too? Huh. And I get that a lot because a lot of people conflict or they can join.
Confuse?
No, they confuse it too, but they make it all one problem when it's not one problem. When I have an IRS problem, generally I'm going to have a state tax problem too, and so they kind of think they're the same problem, but they're not the same problem because they're two different entities. So if I'm contacting the IRS and trying to work out your problem with the IRS, I have nothing to do with the state. You know, the state is a different issue. It's a whole different issue. And so, now the good part is about the state of Illinois is that usually if you owe the IRS, you don't owe the state of Illinois nearly as much as you owe the the government, right? Because a lot of times you might be in a 20%, and then with self-employment tax, it might be up to 35% of what your income was, and the state's at 5%. So huge difference in the amount of money, but also a huge difference in what's available for remedies because the state doesn't really. They have all the same remedies that the federal government does. They're just not readily available. Okay, so it's not as easy to deal with the state as it is the federal government because the IRS has the manual. We've talked about that on the show before, and so the rules are pretty well laid out.
not too well laid out with the state of Illinois. They kind of do what they want. But there's other issues with states. So I had in the last 3 weeks, last 2 weeks actually, I've had 3 different issues with 3 different states. So I had a gentleman who lives in Florida, and he got taxed by the state of Illinois, and they froze his bank account. And he said, well, I haven't lived in Illinois since 2000, and they're taxing me for 2013, 2014. Well, how can they do that to me? And so the state of Illinois, as I mentioned in this before, I think, is that in Illinois, even though you live outside of Illinois, you could still be domiciled in Illinois, and they can say that you still should pay property taxes in Illinois, even though you don't stay in Illinois a lot. But so you have to present proof that you weren't living in Illinois, and so we're going about that with him. I have another gentleman who lives in Illinois, but he gets money from a company in Iowa. And so Iowa has come to him and said, hey, you owe us $50,000, and they did the same thing here. They froze his bank account. Hey, you owe us $50,000 for Iowa state taxes. And he said, well, I've never even been to Iowa. Okay, I just collect money from Iowa. And so so we're battling that issue with the state of Iowa. And just yesterday I had a client who has a very similar problem from Colorado. He had a client in Colorado, and he helps restaurants. And in Colorado, that he had a client in Colorado. They were paying him, and the state of Colorado says, hey, you have to pay us taxes on that money, and they say he owes them $80,000. Okay, so they're going after his bank account too. So and this is usually where it comes up. It's like I've never even heard from them, and all of a sudden they're going after my bank account, and they're saying I owe them all this money, and I don't live in Colorado, I don't live in Florida, I don't live in Iowa, I think there's 39 states that have state income tax and different rules depending on who gets taxed in that state. It gets very complicated, as you might suspect. I had another gentleman in my office who travels, and he helps dealerships, car dealerships all over the country. So he has business in 38 states. So just think if you have to pay taxes in 38 states or file tax returns in all 38 of those states, and sometimes you do. Another big exception are ball players, right? So if I'm on the Cubs and I go to New York, I have to pay taxes in New York for the time that I'm there in New York. And if I'm a star player, I'm making pretty good money, and just that day in New York might cost me a big money. So that's why you see a lot of them are injured. They won't travel with the team to go to New York because they don't want to pay the tax, and it's very important. A lot of now, again, big stars in different sports are picking different teams based on the taxes of the state, because it can have a huge impact on what your overall income is. So anyway, there's these other issues when it comes to, yes, we help the people fight the IRS, and we also help people fight state taxing authorities, Illinois Department of Revenue, Colorado Department of Revenue, Florida Department of Revenue. So they're all out there too. They all have a claim. They're all very powerful. And they say, well, how can they come after my bank account? Because they're a taxing authority and they have the right to do that. They're very, very powerful. So you need to fight them. Anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. And if you have a question for Attorney Leahy, you can call him at 312-664-6649 or visit chicagotaxteam.com. It's going to be your hub to help fight the IRS. Right, Attorney Leahy?
That is correct, Deborah. And listen to our... That's very, very good, Deborah. Listen to our sponsors and come right back here on AM 560, The Answer. Very good, Deborah. Thank you so much.
I'm finding my mojo.
What I forgot to do is say, hey, we're going to close this up IRS radio style.
That's Jim's thing.
So we are going to close it up.
Yeah.
I wonder what I'll talk about. Well, this is my free for all. It's a free for all.
Anything
Who's the
goes.
band? Do you know who the band that is?
I don't. Who is it?
That is Ted Nugent.
I was going to guess Ozzy Osbourne.
It would have been a good guess, but Ted Nugent is. It's a free for all. One of my favorite Ted Nugent songs, and an album, the Free for All album.
That whole album?
That's a very good album, yes. I'm a big Terrible Ted fan. The man can play the guitar.
What else can he do?
Oh, I don't know if he doesn't sing very well. I think he has I think he has people singing. I think that was my second concert. My first concert, as you know, was Kiss, which I've discussed here on the show. That I saw Kiss when I was in 8th grade. And then my second concert, I believe, was Ted Nugent. I'm pretty sure that's the way it went. It might have been Ted Nugent first because I saw them in 8th grade too. And then Kiss, but I'm not sure.
And ever since you saw the band Kiss in junior high, you've been a wild child ever since.
It is true. And people think that is a rock and roll scream. I love it. I do love it.
Only to be rivaled by the scream I did completely jarring Jim. Oh, no. That was...
You caught me with some water in my I almost spit it on the electronic equipment.
Oh, no.
We don't want to do
glad
that.
we avoided that.
Then they will bar me from having water in these studios.
Oh, no more water.
My throat, it's parched.
They'll only let you have Ricolas from now on.
Yeah, they give me a headache.
Ah.
I don't know why that is. All those Lozenges stuff gives me a headache. So I don't use my wife. The rule should be if anybody offers you a breath, some sort of lodging or mint, you should take it. Okay.
They're telling you something.
So that should be the rule.
It's a kind message.
Would you like a mint? Yeah, I think I should have a mint.
What, are you going to talk about baseball here?
We're going
What
to
are
talk
you
a little
gonna
bit about
do?
baseball because I don't know when we have a baseball show coming, but we have one coming.
I mean, it's sports. You could mention the Sweet Night Out
I will
again
do-
if you wanted to.
I will do that.
We could just spend the whole segment saying, "Feel better, Jim."
We could
Hope
do
you
that.
Jimmy, come back, Jim.
Jim. He called me yesterday, said he wasn't going to be able to make it. I said, Jim, we need you. I need you on the show, Jim.
But little did you know I'd really step up the bat today.
I did not need him. Exactly right.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. You're not kidding.
I kid.
We still need you though. I'm amazed at what I watch, like on Facebook when they start feeding these videos to me. You know, I love these, like how to fold your laundry correctly.
Oh, you.
You know, or
You've been doing it wrong all your life.
Yes, exactly. I also like the stuff like tips. You know, when they show you tips, use this one, do that. You know, like let me show you how to. Oh, I saw a good one. Using tongs to cut cake.
Oh.
You know, cut it like it makes a perfect. You know, you.
What do you put out for it? What?
You don't use the tong. You know how the tongs, right? So they're, you know how they're like this, right? So you use this part, and you cut it, and then you use it to feed it. It's actually a very good idea.
Oh, I like watching the very short recipe videos.
I like those
where
too.
It's like 2 minutes, and they create a delicious,
It makes
tasty appetizer.
I always, and that's
I'm
the
like,
tasty.
I gotta make that. I never make it.
Isn't that tasty? I have made some of them.
Have you?
Yes,
how
I
have
have.
they turned out?
Awesome. You know, I kind of feel like Ray Rayner. You don't probably remember Ray Rayner
From Bozo?
He was on Bozo,
the
but
Goose
he had his own. He had his own show, the Ray Rayner Show, but
was the goose on it?
No, that was afterwards.
puppet?
Garfield Goose. That
Oh.
was the puppet that he had. Ray Rayner had Dudley Do Right.
Oh.
But anyway.
Okay.
Or no. I'm talking with the dog. You know the dog.
I don't know.
Okay. So anyway,
what he's
he would have some sort of project and he would always call his guy Chelsea. So Chelsea would bring out, and it would be a perfect project, and then he would make a version of his, and his version was never quite this. Never, you know, like they would, like say he would do a drawing or some sort of pasting stuff together.
Sure.
And the one that was there was so perfect, but his was never perfect. His was always pretty bad.
Aww.
So I always felt that way about doing the recipes. Although I have had some really good ones. I didn't get that recipe. My last good recipe was Yorkshire pudding. Did I tell you about that one?
You made that for a special dinner when
Yes.
you had friends over, right?
That's right. It was a roast and Yorkshire pudding. It turned out awesome.
Your friends from the trip?
Yeah.
Chris
and Jeanette.
Jeanette?
That's correct. That's correct. You pay attention.
Shout out.
Shout out. I'm sure Chris is a regular watcher. I don't know if he's there today, but he usually
For the special podcast.
for this podcast.
The entire thing.
I don't know if he's on the whole thing, but he always says he puts it in the background.
Nice.
So he's a regular listener. Okay, so let's do the final thing, and then
wrap it up.
Yeah, and then my wife wants me home by 5 o'clock because she's going to go see The Great Gatsby today.
Where?
Some play out in the west suburbs somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
I wasn't invited. God bless her.
I mean, I think you secretly wanted to go, Stephen.
No, she knows me better than. Thank you for not inviting me. Thank you for making me say no.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560.
The Answer.
I am not your host. I am your guest co-host for a day, Deborah Schreiner. And remember, if you have any tax issues that you need help with, call Attorney Leahy at Opem Tax Advocates 312-664-6649. And if you're looking to start thinking about tomorrow today, then you can give Realtor Extraordinaire Jim Leahy with Leahy Residential a call at 847-271-3695.
Wow. You do. What a job you do. And not only a technical producer, but you took on a whole nother role and you performed that just as well.
Thank
that is
you,
unbelievable.
Stephen. Yes.
That is unbelievable. She is so good. We're so lucky to have her.
Aww.
Well, it's true. And you've been here since my first show. And,
yes.
And we've been, I think, are we coming up to 6 years or 7 years? 7 years, I think it's going to be. 7 years in May is going to be the show. So God,
and you're going to have an anniversary celebration?
At the Rosati's. Yes, like we did last year. We're going to have another celebration. A lot of fun. So you can join us here for beer and pizza at Rosati's in Bannockburn. We'll go into that more as the time comes up. I want to thank Executive Green Carpet Cleaning for cleaning my carpet down at the office and joining us at the Sweet Night Out event. It was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for joining us. I wanted to. It's like Academy Award. I want to thank all the little people. There aren't any littler people than me, but thank you so much.
You received the Academy Award for Best Sweet Night Out at the Hawks game.
It was. Also, I wanted to thank Adam McMahon from Fireplace and Chimney Authority in Chicago for joining us and he's going to be joining us here on the show. I want to thank, now remember, Larry Smith is going to be on the Trust Radio Network next Saturday evening. He's great, so join that show. You'll learn so much. The guy just knows so much about this stuff.
Wasn't your friend from Delta Insurance also there?
She was there. Jackie Hayden was there. I've known Jackie since 7th grade.
Whoa.
And then it turns out Jackie knows...
She's got some stories about you.
She's promised the silence. She knows Dave Schluter, turns out. She knows others that have been on the show. She's like, how did you know them? I've known Jackie since 7th grade.
The trusted professionals in the Trust Radio Network are all a circle of trust.
Absolutely
and a circle
true.
of friends, too.
Absolutely true. So next Saturday, I'm going to be on David Hochberg's show. I don't know if I should say the name. It rhymes with WGN.
Home Sweet Home Chicago.
Home Sweet Home Chicago, David Hochberg show, where I'll be talking about property taxes, so you can join us there. So we have a lot going on. So I'm so happy that you were here to listen to the show today. Join us next week. Also, hope Jim's going to feel better. Right?
Feel better, Jim. Get some rest.
We usually talk about sports. I would talk about the Cubs are coming back, so I'm very excited about that. I had to pay for my tickets, so that's a eye opener. Fight with my wife again. The only time I didn't fight with my wife about the tickets was the year after this World Series, because I sold my World Series tickets and I made enough to pay the next season. So that's the only time she didn't complain about this. And I've had season tickets now for more than 25 years. So
That's 25 years. We've only been married 22.
Do you get a gold watch after 25
you
years?
Get, you know what you get? Bupkis. You get nothing. You don't even get respect. They treat you terribly. I'm being serious about that. I'm very disappointed in the way the Cubs treat long-time season ticket holders because they took away my club. But anyway,
but you love the Cubs.
I
just
do
the
love
same.
the Cubs, and they took away the club, so I don't see Loose that much. But I still love the Cubs, and you can love the IRS Radio Hour next Sunday at 5 o'clock. So join us, and the Trust Radio Network at 8 o'clock on Saturdays. Come back here next week. We're waiting for you here on AM 560, The Answer. Thanks so much, Deborah. And thank you for watching today. We'll join us next week.
Have a great weekend.
Goodbye. And I got to hurry up because my wife's going to get mad at me if I don't.
Bye.